upstairs. Why is it so important to be talking about this issue today?
Well, this is plasma and its antibodies and all of the things that they're coming up with to end this horror show that came from China. You know all about it. We all do, unfortunately. And we've made tremendous progress with many of the different therapeutics and vaccines. The vaccines are coming along far ahead of schedule. And we're going to have one, I think, very soon. Many great companies are very close. And they're testing extremely well, better than we would have even anticipated. And therapeutically, plasma and other things, antibodies, are really moving along rapidly, far in advance of what we thought.
I want to get to another vaccine question in a minute, but I want to ask you first, you did say there were a couple of things about the GOP stimulus plan that you did not agree with. What are specifically some of the things that you don't like about it?
Well, I want to see the people get well taken care of, and that's something that I agree with both GOP and the Democrats. They want different forms, but we want to make it easy. We want to make it simple. We want to make it substantial, very substantial. We want people to go back to work, and we want people to do very well. We had the greatest economy we've ever had just a few months ago, and we're going to build that back up again very soon.
A school year just around the corner here. Dr. Fauci has said that students 10 and up can essentially transmit the virus like adults can. You also have teachers that are going on strike, potentially. What would you say, Mr. President, to reassure teachers who are frankly nervous for in-person learning getting back in class?
Well, I hadn't heard about strike, but if they were, maybe that's a political statement. You know, the teachers and the teachers union, I'm not sure. But we have really devoted a lot of energy and a lot of time to opening up the schools. We want to open up the schools. The businesses are opening. You see record job numbers. For 2 months in a row now, we've created a record for job numbers. Retail sales have been fantastic. So we want to get the country open. We want to get the schools open and open quickly.
Is there anything you might say to teachers specifically who might be nervous about school or apprehensive?
Well, I want them to be careful. I want it to be safe. I want everything to be safe. They're going to be working together with a lot of very great professionals. And there seems to be a lot of proof that young children, they have a very strong immune system and they don't pass it on. But we have to get our country open again, and I want them to be shielded in some way or safeguarded in a very strong way. It has to be. But we do want to get our schools open. We have to.
So on vaccines, let's assume in the next 6 months we're able to develop an effective vaccine. Do we have the infrastructure right now to be able to manufacture it, deliver it, share it with enough people where it actually makes an impact?
It's such a great question. We're actually spending money up front to get that infrastructure, and our military is ready to distribute it. And we are going to logistically, they call it logistics, where they deliver troops and deliver lots of different things that frankly is much more difficult. And we have a general specifically who's a master at this and will be delivering it very rapidly. And I think 6 months is a very long period of time. I think we're going to be far in advance of 6 months, I hope.
Would you hesitate to use the Defense Production Act to get that rolling if you needed to?
Well, if we need it, we've used it now 33 times and very effectively because we, ventilators, all of the ventilators, the swabs, the testing, we have the best testing in the world. We have the most testing and the best testing, so we have used it. But I think we'll be very well situated with vaccines very, very soon.
Just one more COVID question, related COVID question. You suggested this morning that in our response to the COVID crisis, you may move the election, you may want to move it. How exactly would that work? That would be unprecedented.
Well, what we have is a situation with the universal mail-in votes. And if you look at what's going on all over the country, it's a mess. In New York, they had an election many weeks ago, and they still don't have the numbers. In Paterson, New Jersey, and other places, they've had elections, and it's a mess. And you're talking about sending out tens of millions of ballots, and you don't know where they're going. It's just something that's terrible. And we can't have a situation. It's not right. It's not fair to the American public, to this country, to have an election where you don't know where they are, where are the ballots, the mail-in ballot. Now, I will say this, absentee ballots are great because absentee, you go through a process, you get the ballot. Why aren't you able to do this, that? You have applications, and it works out very well. Absentee. But absentee is much different from universal mail-in ballots, which are just randomly sent out in the hundreds of millions potentially. In California, it's way over 20 some odd million, and it's just sent out. Nobody knows where are they going, who are they going to. We've already had complaints where they're being sent to people that are dead. They're being sent to dogs. We've had that. They were sent to dogs. They were sent all over. And you, more importantly, you have, as an example, the case in New York with a congresswoman who was in a close race. They have no idea what's going on. It's weeks and weeks ago, and this is one very small race. So we're going to have a big problem here. Also, they're always talking about Russia and China and everything else. Well, they're going to be able to break into this season, this very easily. They'll be able to do it very, very easily. You're handing out, they can forge they can make false statements, false ballots. They can do forgeries. They can do a lot of things. Look, there's nothing like being able to go out and vote. Going out and vote, where you have people and you have identification and you have whatever it is that the place requires. But this concept of mailing out hundreds of millions of ballots, just sending them all over the country. And if you look, most importantly, if you look at what has taken place just recently with a couple of elections where they did this, they are a mess. They have 20, 30, 40, 50% is off, whether it's fraud or incompetence. But we can't have an election like that. The other thing is we're used to hearing the result. I want to hear the result, okay? I think we're going to do very well, but I want to hear the result. And you used to hear it, you know, you would want to hear it on election night, that night. It's a big night. You could go months and months and months, and then you have court challenges and everything else. You could go many, many months and beyond that, frankly, before you find out who won the election. It's a mess. The Democrats know it. They know it's a mess, and they don't want to say anything about it. The difference is I say things about it.
Okay, I got the one last question alert here. I kind of want to follow up on this one. Moving the date, is there a plan for that, or is there?
Well, I hope a thing like that wouldn't be necessary because I want the date more than anyone. I think we're doing really well. I just got back from Texas. I was recently in North Carolina, South Carolina. You look at the different places. I think Florida, I think we're doing really well. I want to get it done, but it's got to be done correctly. And when you have universal mail-in ballots, it's not going to happen. It's going to be a disaster for this country. It's going to be an embarrassment, and it's going to be a disaster.
Thank you, sir. I'm done with my questions.
Joe, you want to step up?
Yeah, we'll do a quick two-shot here.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we're not rolling. I had more.
That's all right.